Yes, ma'am. Now you can record.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So, dear children, we are going to start this chapter, The Open Window. Very good and interesting chapter. Interesting in the sense that it is having that kind of thrill which children usually like. Okay, it is having some kind of suspense. Those who like suspense stories, suspense and thrill, they would like it. Now, this is the chapter, The Open Window. As the title shows, it is regarding uh, a window. This window plays an important role in the chapter. Frampton Nuttall has bad nerves. He retires to the country for cure and calls on a family friend. Frampton. He visits a place for his retires means he goes to a country. Country means countryside, you understand, rural area for cure. Usually we are guided by the doctors to visit some peaceful places. The lady being busy upstairs, her young niece refers to a family mishap. Mishap means a kind of mystery with focus on the open window. Means this open window, it is related to a mystery mentioned in the chapter. It becomes a mystery about this open window. My aunt will be down presently, Mr. Nuttall said a very self-possessed young lady of 50. Abroad, the students in teenage, they are called a young man or young lady. Young lady means here is a girl of 15. And he tells Mr. Frampton that her aunt will be down presently, means downstairs, will come down. Means Frampton, he visits a place where he wants to meet someone and he is attended by a girl first. In the meantime, you must try and put up with me. Put up with you can spend time with me. Frampton Nuttall endeavored to say something which should duly flatter the needs of the moment without unduly discounting the aunt that was to come. Privately, he doubted more than ever whether these formal visits of a succession of total strangers would do much toward helping the nerve cure which he was supposed to be undergoing. Means he was not sure of his condition, that he was suggested by the doctors to visit a peaceful place, a countryside, and he was thinking about that, how much it will help him. I know how it will be, his sister had said when he was preparing to migrate to this rural retreat. Rural retreat means the place he was visiting. You will bury yourself down there and not speak to a living soul, and your love will be worse than ever from Mofi. I shall just give you letters of introduction to all the people I know there. Some of them, as far as I can remember, are quite nice. Means when he was uh, going to visit this place, his sister, sorry, he gave him just a letters of introduction. Introduction means sometimes we are visiting a strange place and we feel awkward, we feel lonely, or we want some kind of concern there. Then we are given some reference. You know? So his sister, he gave him letters of introduction with the people to whom he could meet there. She gave her such references that he can take help of those people. Now, Frampton wondered whether you can side by side go through the vocabulary as it is given below in all chapters. Self-possessed, calm and confident, sure of herself. A person fully confident, this self-possessed can be used, this word can be used. Endeavor you have done as a noun, here it is used as a verb. Or try, endeavor is try, so try here. Flatter means some kind of flattering, किसी की चापलूसी करना, buttering करना, that is flatter. Frampton wondered whether Mrs. Stapleton, the lady to whom he was presenting one of the letters of introduction, is going to show the introduction given by his sister, came into the nice position. Do you know many of the people around here asked the niece when we judged that they had had sufficient silent communication. Now, silent communication means she tried to get him involved. There was silent communication means हम चुपचाप बैठे एक दूसरे को observe करते हैं, there to break that silence, she started. That girl, she started talking with Mr. Frampton. Do you know many of people around here? क्या आप यहाँ पे ज़्यादा लोगों को जानते हैं? Means she started to get involved. Hardly a soul. A soul means any person. My sister was staying here some 4 years ago, and she gave me letters of introduction of some of the people here. Now he declared that he was not familiar with many of the people in the town. Now this girl get this, that this person was a stranger to this place. He made the last statement in a tone of distinct regret, meaning he was not feeling good that he was new to this place and unknown to people there. Then, practically nothing about my aunt, pursued the self-possessed young lady. Now she was so confident in talking that she just asked him whether he was familiar with her aunt. Only her name and address, admitted the caller. He was wondering whether Mrs. Appleton was in the married or widowed state. He was not sure of that even. An undefinable something around the room seemed to suggest masculine habitation. वो ये भी नहीं जानता था कि whether she was married or not or divorced, but some kind of masculine habitation means कुछ male touch दिख रहे थे रूम में. उसको ऐसा लग रहा था कि वहाँ पे male person भी रहते हैं. Her great tragedy happened just 3 years ago. Now that child starts, said the girl, said the child. That would be since your sister's time. Her great tragedy happened just 3 years ago. Now she started telling him about the tragedy that happened 3 years ago. According to her, her sister must be here then. Her tragedy, asked Temple. Somehow, in his restful country, Scott tragedies seemed out of place. You may wonder why we keep that window wide open on an October afternoon. October afternoon means it was going to be still winter and little winter. So we usually close our windows when it is cold outside, है ना? गर्मियों में हम open करते हैं और winter में हम अपनी windows को close कर देते हैं. So she asked that he should have noticed that while that window was opened in the month of October even, it is quite warm for the time of the year, said Franklin. But has that window got anything to do with the tragedy? Now he didn't get the question of the child because sometimes some people like to open the windows, but he showed his query. अब वो यहाँ पे curiosity दिखाता है कि क्या वाकई इस विंडो से रिलेट कोई इस विंडो का रिलेशन है इस ट्रेजेडी के साथ. Out through the window 3 years ago to a day, her husband and her two young brothers went off for their day's shooting. Now she starts. But go on marking, there will be different references to the open window. Now this reference is that this girl tells to Frampton about the open window. This is the story that this girl tells to Mr. Frampton. Out through that window 3 years ago to a day, her husband and her two young brothers went off for their day's shooting. वो अपनी डे शूटिंग के लिए उसके husband, he is that lady, owner of the house, and her two young brothers, they had gone for shooting. Mark this paragraph. They never came back. They never came back. Definitely, it was a tragedy she was talking about. In crossing the moor to their favorite shooting ground. Now, moor, you can get the meaning of moor is a grassland area. Now, in crossing the moor to their favorite shooting ground, they were all three engulfed in a trackless piece of bog. Trackless means dangerous, bog means wet, spongy ground. बेटा जिसको हम दलदल बोलते हैं ना हिंदी में, so that is the place where some kind of that mud is there that once a person is stuck in that he feels difficult or unable to come out of. ये bog ऐसा होता है, दलदल होता है और ये रेगुलरली कांस्टेंट किसी पार्ट ऑफ ग्रीन लैंड में किसी एरिया में जब काफी देर तक पानी वहाँ पे खड़ा रहता है तो विद मिक्सचर ऑफ दोज सॉइल एंड वाटर ये एक दलदल की तरह बन जाता है. आपने इनिशियली माइट हैव सीन इन मूवीज एंड ऑल अ पर्सन इज स्टक इन दैट एंड he feels unable or even they die. They just sunk in that. They The person who is stuck in that, he is just sunk. It had been that dreadful wet summer, and places that were safe in other years gave way suddenly without warning. क्योंकि ऐसे टाइम में इस वेदर में ऐसे बहुत बन जाते. Their bodies were never recovered. That was the dreadful part of it. Now you will mark this incident described by the girl that they were stuck in a bog and they died and their even dead bodies were not recovered. That was the dreadful part of it. Here the child's voice lost its self-possessed note and became falteringly self-possessed again, very confident she was, and became falteringly means without any hesitation. A faltering voice is shaky. Sometimes we are so overwhelmed with the emotion. कई बार हम जब बात करते करते हमारे इमोशन काफी हावी हो जाते हैं तो हमारी साउंड जो होती है वो शेक करना शुरू कर देती है. Poor aunt always thinks. Now here you can see the picture where this girl is describing about the open window. Behind this young man, this person, that is Frank. Poor aunt always thinks that they will come back someday. They and the little brown spaniel that was lost with them. Spaniel is their dog. And walk in at the window just as they used to do. That's why the window is kept open every evening till it is quite dusk. Now this girl tells that this lady, her aunt was not able to believe the tragedy. She didn't get, she is not able to believe that and she thinks that they will come back someday. उसको लगता है कि वो एक दिन वापस आएंगे और इसीलिए she she keeps this window open. That's why the window is kept open every evening till it is quite dusk. जब तक शाम ढलने जाती है, dusk is the time when this evening meets the night. That dusk time it is kept open. Poor dear aunt, she has often told me how they went out, her husband with white waterproof coat over his arm, and Ronnie, her youngest brother, singing Bati, why do you bound? And he always did to tease her because she said it got on her nerves. Do you know sometimes on still quiet evenings like this, I almost get the creepy feeling that they will all walk in through that. Now they usually tease that lady with their dirty shoes as they walk in the house with the dirty shoes and it irritates, as it is told here. They always did to tease her because she said it got on her nerve. But why do you mount? His younger brother, he usually said this just dialogue to her sister, sorry, his sister, that it is in करते हैं ना जैसे हम आपस में and he always did to tease her. He always speak these words to that lady and she feels irritated. But still she is waiting. Means she tells the words and you will note down. You need to note down the same dialogue there. They will be behaving in the same way. Now she is telling the story which proves to be in different in a way. She broke off with a little shudder. Now she broke off with a little shudder. It was a relief to Frampton when the aunt bustled into the room with a bawl of apologies for being late in making her appearance. Now the lady, she reaches there and she feels sorry to Frampton that she was late. I hope Vera has been amusing you. He had good time with. She hoped that he had good time with Vera. Vera. So Vera is the name of this girl. She has been very interesting, said Frampton. I hope you don't mind the open window, said Mrs. Frampton briskly. My husband and brothers will be home directly from shooting. Mark the sentence that she is saying that they will be home soon. And they always come in this way. They have been they have been out for this night in the marshes today. They have gone for shooting, so they will make a fine mess over my poor carpets. And means They might be having this kind of discipline that they will enter from this side of the home, as they must be wearing the dirty shoes. So they will make a fine mess over my poor carpet. So like you men folk, isn't it? Now she also just throw a joke that usually men people, men family members, they don't bother about the cleanliness of the house. She rattled on cheerfully about the shooting and scarcity of birds and the prospect for ducks in the winter. Music just talked about this. To Frampton, it was all purely horrible. Now, when she talks about the environment there, surrounding there, nature there, he was not feeling interested. Right? He was purely horrible. He made a desperate but only partially successful effort to turn to talk on a less ghastly topic. He was conscious that his hostess was giving him only a fragment of her attention, and her eyes were constantly straying past time to the open window and the lawn beyond. He was a little bit horrified or concerned because his attendant was all the time she was looking at the open window behind him. Her eyes were constantly straying past him to the open window and the lawn beyond. It was certainly an unfortunate coincidence that he should have paid his visit on his tragic anniversary. It was certainly an unfortunate coincidence that he should have paid his visit on his tragic anniversary. एक साल हो चुका था उसके साथ. The doctors agree in ordering me complete rest, an absence of mental excitement, avoidance of anything in the nature of violent physical exercise is totally peace. He was recommended total peace by the doctors, who labored under the tolerably widespread delusion that total strangers and chance acquaintances are hungry for the least detail of one's ailments and infirmities, their cause and cure, who labored under tolerably widespread delusions that total strangers and chance acquaintances are hungry for the least details of one's ailments, means that this lady, she was talking about his own concern, and Mr. Frampton feels that nobody hardly ever bother or nobody is ever concerned with what other person is suffering from, what is his treatment and all. He felt that she showed no interest in that. On the matter of the diet, they are not so much in agreement, he continued. Yes, he was telling about his own problem, and she was much concerned about the waiting for those persons and all. No, said Mrs. Frampton in a voice which only they were just talking about the nature and about his ailment and all. No, said Mrs. Sappleton in a voice which only replaced a yarn at the last moment. Then she suddenly brightened into alert attention, but not of what Frampton was saying. Means Frampton noticed that she was not at all interested and was feeling sleepy when he talked about his ailment. Here they are at last, she cried, and suddenly she was excited. She showed attention, and this Hampton noticed that she was excited. What did she say? Here they are at last, she cried. Just in the time for tea, and don't they look as if they were muddy up to the eyes? Means she just told Frampton that they were full of mud. Frampton shivered slightly and turned toward the niece with the look intended to convey sympathetic comprehension. Now mark this word, sympathetic comprehension. Frampton, when this lady talked about the people coming back, her husband and his younger brother, Frampton shivered slightly. Why did he shiver slightly? That we need to discuss. Turn toward the knees with a look intended to convey sympathetic comprehension. आपस में comprehension होता है बेटा understanding. अब फ्रैम्पटन और मीज ने जब एक दूसरे की तरफ देखा तो उनके आंखों में सिंपैथेटिक कॉम्प्रिहेंशन था, मीन्स एक अंडरस्टैंडिंग, सिंपैथेटिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग थी. The child was staring out through the window with a dazed horror. Mark this, dazed horror also. अब जब उस लड़की ने बाहर विंडो की तरफ देखा तो उसके चेहरे पे हॉरर था, इन हर आईज. In a chill shock of nameless fear, Frampton swung round in his seat and looked in the same direction. अब फ्रैम्पटन भी एकदम से शॉक हुआ and he looked into that direction. In the deepening twilight, three figures were walking across the lawn towards the window. Now, in the deepening twilight, three figures were walking across the lawn towards the window. What did they watch? They saw that in the deepening twilight, in the end of the day, three figures were walking across the lawn towards the window. Window की तरफ तीन लोग बढ़ रहे थे. Three figures, with three persons. They all carried guns under their arms. They were having guns in their arms. One of them was additionally bound with a white coat hung over his shoulder. एक के शोल्डर पे white coat भी था. A tried brown spaniel kept close to their heels. उनके पैरों के साथ साथ spaniel चल रहा था. A dog, brown color. Noiselessly they neared the house, and then a hoarse young voice chanted out of the dusk. Chanted out means spoken loudly. They heard a loud sound. I say, Bati, why do you pound? Means you mark the same sentence the girl told that they used to speak this sentence. Frampton grabbed wildly at his stick and hat. Means he just picked his hat and stick. The hall door, the gravel drive, the front gate was dimly noted stages in his headlong retreat. A cyclist coming along the road had to run into the hedge off to avoid imminent collision. Means he just grabbed his things, his hat and stick, and moved out of the front gate. Ran. A cyclist coming along the road had to run into the hedge to avoid imminent collision. And he was going to stuck. Collision होता है बेटा आपस में टकराना. Means he was going to hit by a cyclist and he avoided. He was just going to collide into a cycle. Here we are, my dear, said the bearer of the white Macintosh, coming in through the window. Who was that who bolted out as we came up? That person was saying with the white coat, white Macintosh. Macintosh is a kind of the sheep which save us from the rain, as we have that raincoat and all. He asked both of the ladies, that who was that person who just ran out of the window, ran out of the door when we, after watching us? A most extraordinary man, a Mr. Nicol, said Mrs. Appleton. He could only talk about his illness, dashed off without a word of goodbye or apologize when you arrived. One would think he had seen a ghost. Now Mrs. Stapleton's observation about Mr. Hampton, what she replies, that he had no etiquette as he was an extraordinary person. All the time he was talking about his illness, he was a stranger, and he didn't even said goodbye and just ran out. One would think he had seen a ghost. और वो ऐसे भागा जैसे कि उसने ghost देखा. Now, I expect it was the spaniel, said the niece calmly. He told me he had a horror of dogs. Now, Vita, you can see the just what this girl adds. She adds that Mr. Nuttall has told him, told her that he had horror of dogs. He was once, she says that I think that Mr. Frampton ran out because he was not, after watching the spaniel, the dog, as he was once hunted into a cemetery somewhere on the banks of the Ganges by a pack of dogs. Means sometime he was badly horrified, attacked by the dogs in a cemetery and had to spend the night in a newly dug grave. He in a cemetery he had to spend the full night in a newly dug grave, with the creature snarling and grinning and foaming just above him. So आप imagine कर सकते हैं ना कि how he was attacked by the dogs and he had to spend the whole night in a grave, a newly dug grave, with having all these creatures, dogs, snarling, grinning, and foaming just above him, enough to make anyone lose their nerve. So it was really a, it was possible that a person can be badly horrified. Romance at short notice was her specialty. Mark this line, romance at short notice was her specialty. This line described the girl. So you can really, I hope that you must have enjoyed and we will discuss about it, whatever is the rest. Yes, Vachin. I hope you all enjoyed the story full of thrill and suspense. So there might be some difficult sentences you might be facing, you know, some kind of, but this is the art of literature, writing the literature. When we read the novel, when we read such stories, an author is free to what he feels uh, easy and how he can make the readers interested in the text. Very interesting story, and still the facts. You see that the end is and it is left to the imagination of the reader. Whatever you assume about the girl, your assumption, what you think about Mrs. Appleton, your assumption, what you think about me, there is suspense even in the end of the chapter, isn't it? There is suspense in the end of the chapter. Okay, I would like to take some responses. Fine. Meenakshi ma'am, kindly make me host or give me just give permission to the children to unmute themselves.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'll give.
Hanji. Yes, Harshit, you raised hand. You want to say something?
Ma'am, now they can unmute themselves. Already Google form is shared.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Yes, beta. So, if you have query, you can share. Otherwise, I would like to ask something from you. Okay. Yes, Narinder. Narinder,
Yes, ma'am.
yes, beta. So, beta, how you get the answer? That end of the chapter. How do you get the?
Um,
Why do you feel that Mr. Frampton? Because usually the back exercise question, है ना?
yes, ma'am.
So why do you feel that Frampton ran out? That is the main suspense of the chapter.
Ma'am, because as that young lady was telling that they had never came back, and suddenly if somebody comes back after 3 years, so we will be shocked and we don't know what to do. Then we'll obviously go out and we'll think that there must be like some spirit or something else.
Yeah,
Mm.
definitely very
Yes,
very
ma'am.
good. It this Mr. Frampton he took them as ghosts. He took them as
Yes, ma'am.
ghosts. Yes. Okay, Kashish. Kashish. Harshit, you raised hand.
Yes, ma'am.
Harshit, you raised hand, beta. Any query? You want to ask
Ma'am, it's
something?
by mistake.
Okay, beta. Okay. So, Kashish,
Ma'am, I
yes.
want to
Yes, ma'am.
open the chat.
Okay, beta. Okay. Yes, Kashish. What do you think of
Yes, ma'am.
that young lady? What do you think of that young
Ma'am,
lady?
that young lady, she narrated the story about about her husband that he never
Ah,
came
ah,
back
ah.
and
Young lady, that Vera. I'm talking about the girl, Vera.
okay, ma'am.
Yes.
That small girl.
Yes, niece of
That's
Mrs. Tappy. Yes. How do you get
ma'am
that girl?
Vera.
If I ask you
Ma'am, I
to,
didn't.
yeah, if I ask you to describe the because beta, from the chapter, from the facts of the chapter, we are supposed to assume the characters. है ना? Characterization.
Yes, ma'am.
You have to do in ninth standard. And from here only you should get this kind of observation. आप रीडिंग से ही बेटा अंडरस्टैंड करेंगे कि एक करेक्टर की क्या करेक्टरिस्टिक्स हो सकती हैं, हाउ यू टेक द करेक्टर, व्हाट यू थिंक अबाउट द करेक्टर.
Ma'am, she was a niece of
Hmm.
the lady,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
she came to the house, and how can we describe
Okay,
it?
okay. Vansh.
I'm a bit confused.
Okay, beta. Now listen attentively. Vansh.
She made stories and narrated them. As line said,
Ah, character.
romanticized short.
Beta, when we describe
Ma'am,
character means characteristics. Characteristics means using adjective. Adjective for the person. Descriptive adjectives. Think of, and raise hand what you can tell about this girl. Actually, she is the real protagonist. She is the real, no doubt. Samson Nuttall is there because he visits the place and all. Yes, he there. He there.
Yes, ma'am.
Ishita. Think of Sahib.
Good morning, ma'am.
Very reflective students we have.
Um,
Yes, he there.
Ma'am, can you hear me?
Yeah, beta, I can hear you. What do you
Ma'am,
think?
can you please again, ma'am?
What do you think of the needs of Mrs. Stapleton? If we have to describe the uh,
Ma'am,
character.
yes, ma'am.
Ji.
The niece of Mrs. Stapleton was a very clever girl.
Hmm.
She started to narrate the fictional stories regarding the husband and the brother of Mrs. Stapleton, and at the end of the chapter, it was also written that romance at short notice was her specialty. So she used to tell people stories and make them believe in spirits and ghosts and scared them away out of their houses.
Okay, here this word romance is very differently described. Okay, romance. What we take romance? Romance हम क्या लेते हैं? Boy and girl, है ना? Between boy and girl or something we say romance. But romance is a kind of adventure. We should be now understanding this. Take this word as an adventure, isn't it? So you describe well, but the clever word is not ethical. क्लेवर वर्ड क्लेवर पता क्या होता है क्लेवर होता है जो किसी को नो डाउट शी जस्ट कॉल हार्म टू दिस मिसेस एपल्टन आल्सो है ना किसी को ऐसे परेशान करना we cannot it is not good but some good adjectives we should use yes Ishita well
Yes,
described
ma'am.
yes otherwise with it well described yes good. Yes good.
Um, mm, the girl was very friendly, and she finds the way. She find the ways in which she can make the situation enjoyable and
Means
makes it.
she enjoyed making people fool बिफूलिंग पीपल इसको बोलते हैं बिफूल BEFOOL बिफूलिंग अदर्स है ना किसी को मूर्ख बनाना so she liked that she was such kind of adventurous girl so बच्चे I think that we should end the meet because we have to I have to start other you read the chapter again I will send the subjective assignment okay so read the chapter once again and mark the question answers लेकिन मैं आपको वो नहीं पूछूंगी जो आपको नेट पे अवेलेबल है I will ask you different kind of questions. Okay? Do the subjective assignment of both of the chapters. Yes, somebody want to ask, Imanshi?
Ma'am, yes, ma'am, can it be smart, ma'am, word used
Yes,
instead of
yes,
clever?
yes.
Smart.
That is better for a child. Huh? For a young girl, it is better.